Map reading is where you look at the minimap and use logic and deduction to guess the path to the boss room after spawning in. By simply loading into a dungeon and zooming out the minimap, in most situations you can already predict a potential path to the boss. Map reading allows you to run a dungeon in the least amount of rooms possible, which saves time because there's less rooms to clear. If you're a logical thinker, then this should be relatively easy to learn quickly. これはボス。It's important to understand how dungeons generate. Some dungeons have a static map, which means every instance has the exact same map layout. These include the Shatters and Roxas Castle. The rest of the dungeons will generate a randomized map, and most of those dungeons have a set number of rooms in between the spawn and boss room. For example, Spread Worlds will always have 5 rooms in between the spawn and boss room. In the Lost Halls, there's a Marble Colossus and the Agonized Titan. There are always 10 rooms in the path leading up to the Marble Colossus, with the 10th room containing the Marble Defender. The Agonized Titan is activated by fighting 5 flames in 5 different pot rooms scattered around the dungeon, and all of those rooms branch off the main path to the Marble Colossus. To help visualize how this all generates in a dungeon, let's take a straight path representing the way to the Marble Colossus. Add some rooms branching off the path, and those will lead into treasure pot rooms, or the Titan. And there you go, that's basically how it works, except the path will have twists and turns instead, and look something like this. Understanding how the dungeon works will make it easier to explain how to map read it. Here's some tips from personal experience on what to look out for. If you're heading to the Marble Colossus, the boss room will generally be far away from the spawn room or the opposite side of spawn. So if you see that you spawn on the right side of the map, the boss will be somewhere on the left side. Alternatively, if you're heading to the cultist hideout, then try to clear the rooms that are near and on the same side as the spawn room. There are 2 terms known as loops and splits. A loop is 4 rooms with paths running into each other. Even though there are 4 rooms, the entire loop will only count as 1 towards the 10 room rule. So if I take the straight path example from earlier and add a loop, it would look like this and still count as 10 rooms. A split is a room with multiple exit points. If you enter a split with 2 exits opposite of each other, you are guaranteed to be on the path to the Marble Colossus. This is because if the exits were next to each other, there's a chance that it could lead into a loop. However, a loop cannot form with splits on opposite sides, therefore one path will lead into Marble Colossus, and the other a pot room or the Titan. There will never be a loop that forms from the splits of the spawn room. So, if you load into the spawn room with 4 different splits, one of them will always path to the Marble Colossus and the others to the pot rooms or Titan. The room for the Marble Colossus is technically a 3x3 area because minion rooms do not generate next to it, except for the Marble Defender. This means that when pathing to the Marble Colossus, try to head towards the part of the map that has more open space. This also means that the boss room will not spawn on the very edge of a map, so if you're on the right side of the map and there are 2 splits heading down and right, there's a much greater chance that the boss room is down. If you're pathing to the Marble Colossus, sometimes revealing the location of the Agonized Titan can help tremendously. If you didn't know, clearing a pot room sends a flame to the Titan and appears as a pink dot on the minimap. In some of these cases, you'll actually want to path towards the Agonized Titan, even though it seems counterintuitive because your objective is to go to Marble Colossus. Remember that the Titan will branch off the main path, which means if the flame appears in an unexplored area far away from you, heading towards the flame will cause you to run into that branch. Alright, so this is the end of the guide. Hopefully this video gets you started on getting better at map reading Lost Halls. But not only that, these concepts can also be applied for other dungeons, so it's a pretty useful skill to have in general. In the background of this guide were clips of my livestream at twitch.tv/davx, where I usually stream shenanigans with the guild Black Bullet. Please enjoy the following clip of our guild founder. Minion toss it. Minion toss it. 今、ピクシーに使ってる、ジャパンさんも怒られる。なんか。いや、ボイドだっけはちょっと待って。あんま